All right, this is your formative, A4 formative given on May 12th or May 11th, depending on which block you're in. So looking at elimination, the idea is that we need to eliminate one variable at a time so that we can solve for the other. If you look at this first problem, number 5, if I were to add the equations together, meaning I'm going to add straight down, I see that the x's line up, the y's line up, and the constants, just the numbers, line up. So when I do that, if I add, I would end up getting 6x, and I would have the y's cancel, dropping the equal sign. If I add negative 26 and 2, I get negative 24, leaving me with a very simple one-step equation that if I divide by 6, I get x equals negative 4, which is halfway there. If I rewrite the problem, which I think is pretty helpful, and I look at this in a slightly different way, if I subtract straight down 3x minus 3x, those would cancel. And they cancel because the coefficients are either the same or opposite. And we use, when they're the same, if we use subtraction, they'll cancel. And when they're opposite, if we use addition, they will cancel. So the idea is this one's already set up to just add and subtract, and everything will, the appropriate things will cancel. So here, the x's cancel. If I did negative 2x minus 2x, I get negative 4x, and it's very important to recognize the sign. And if I did negative 26 minus 2, I get negative 28. Again, leaving me a one-step equation, and if I just divide by that negative 4, I get y equals 7. So I get my point. My point on this problem is negative 4, comma, negative 7. If you look at number 6, and you try to add, if I add these, I get 6x. If I add these, I get 1y, and if I add these, I get 22. Now, nothing canceled, nothing eliminated. So we can't just add or subtract here. We actually have to do some work ahead of doing the addition and subtraction, and we can use multiplication to try to cancel some of the variables. So if you look at the top equation, the number in front of the y is really just a 1 or a negative 1. So if I took everything in this equation and I doubled it, I would get 20x minus 2y equals 20. And it's super important that you're going to distribute that 2 to all of the pieces and not forget that 10. Then if I just copy the other equation over, now these two have the same coefficients. They're opposite, so if I add, those will cancel. So I'm going to add everything straight down. 20 plus a negative 4 is 16x. These cancel. Just take a second and make sure. Negative 2 plus a positive 2 cancels. 20 plus 12 is 32. If I divide by 16, I get x equals 2. I like that. Now we have to try to cancel the x's to try to solve for y. So it's not so straightforward, right? If I multiply 4 by something to get 10, it doesn't work great. But if I multiplied the top by 2 and the bottom by 5, just focusing on the x's, 2 times 10x would give me 20x, and 5 times negative 4x would give me negative 20x. So they would be the same. So let's try this. Let's do 2 times the top. It's going to be the same as the equation that we used right here. And let's do 5 times the bottom. Again, distributing it to all 3 pieces. And if I look at this and I add these two x values, I know they cancel. If I add the y's together, negative 2y plus 10y is 8y, and then 20 plus 60 is 80. Again, a simple one-step equation from here, divided by 8 gives me y equals 10, and I have my solution, 2, 10. And that's how you solve elimination problems.